So I'm going to do the next round of World Cup predictions for the second games in Group A and Group B. So let's get started. So I'm just going to do these two groups today. I'll do a longer prediction video for some of the other second games tomorrow, but we need to at least get these ones up because these games are kicking off later. So we'll do these four games. So Group A, the opening games there, we saw obviously, of course. Okay, so first game we've got Czech Republic against South Africa. Now South Africa in that first game was poor against Mexico. It wasn't great. They had some misfortune with them sending off. That was debatable. The second sending off in the first half, they conceded early, conceded again in that second half. Overall went how I'd expected it to. I thought Mexico would have a strong performance being the host nation there. But yeah, South Africa defensively looked like there was a real vulnerability there, which I think will be the worry moving on in this tournament. And Czech Republic also coming in off of defeat as well. Took the lead in that second half against South Korea. Didn't dominate the first half, but they take the lead in that second half. And then from there, they let it slip, and I think that will be a worry as well for them, the way they let that lead slip. They had the goal chalked off as well. They got back in the lead, but Korea eventually pushed on and got the winning goal. So both of them coming in off the defeat, but it does feel like, it's a bit more open. There's a bit more margin for error because a third place team can qualify. So it's an opportunity for both of these two to get back on the right track here. And I think it's going to be a very close game. I think we're going to see a lot more from both teams in this game. I think there's going to be much more opportunities, and I think it's going to be a close one. I think on the day it really could go either way. Definitely could be a draw. I was a bit split with my prediction for this one, but I've settled on what I'm going to say in the end. But I think South Africa, I think although they weren't great defensively, I think we didn't really get to see that much of what they maybe could do going forward. I think we'll see a lot more of them going forward in this game, and I think we'll see a lot more of them in this game. As for Czech, I think what I want to see them do is I really want to see them utilise the set piece sort of aspect of their game, like they did in that game against South Korea. It was from a set piece they took the lead. It looked very dangerous from that type of play. So I think if they could utilise that well, I think they could be a danger here as well. I think it's very, very tight. I think it could go either way. I'm slightly leaning towards Czech though, so I'm going to go for a 2-1 Czech win there. The other game in Group A is Mexico again hosting South Korea. Now Mexico, one of the host nations, they're very strong in that first game against South Africa. Got the goal early, set the tempo for the game, dominated the game. Obviously had a bit of help with those sending offs, then got the second goal. Had a sending off of their own, so they're about Montez for this game, which is a bit of a blow. But being the host, I think they're going to be very strong in the games that they are playing at home, and I think that could carry them quite far in this competition. I think they're a good side, and they've definitely got the potential to go very far in this competition. And I do think they're going to have a tough game here in South Korea. I think they're a very good side as well, and I think they dominated most of the game against Czech. Although they few defensive shaky moments defensively themselves. Could that be a bit of a worry facing Mexico? I do think so, but I do think they've got a lot of quality going forward as well. South Korea, I think they play very good football, and I think they definitely could cause Mexico some problems, and I definitely think they're at least going to give them a very good game. And I think this could be a good game. I think this could be a good watch. What we saw from both of them in that first game, some attacking quality, I think it does suggest this could be a good game. I think it's going to be a close one. But I do think Mexico as the host could see them over the line there. I think that could give them the edge here. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Mexico win there. So now on to the second games in Group B. Now, obviously 2-1-1s. So really hanging with the balance this group. This group really could go anywhere. We'll start with Switzerland against Bosnia. Now, Switzerland in that first game, I was a bit disappointed with the fact they did not kill the game off against Qatar. I was underwhelmed, to be honest. I expected big things from Switzerland. I expected a strong performance. It wasn't really that. Well, it could have been. This is the thing. It could have been if they killed the game off. When you don't kill the game off, when you waste your opportunities, you always sort of risk the opportunity. You always risk the other team, getting a late equaliser, and that's exactly what Qatar did. I was impressed with the grit they showed, and I thought that they've held on very well. But I thought equally Switzerland, they were wasteful at times, and I think that is ultimately what really cost them. And I think they started the game well. Obviously got in the lead from the penalty, but from there, you felt like the second goal was coming the whole game, and then it just felt like they easily could have scored 3 or 4, but they're just not taking the chances. Qatar, despite having almost 80% of the possession, and Qatar ultimately we saw the odd break from them, but we eventually, when it really mattered, right at the end of the game, and make it count. And Switzerland, because of that, they dropped points. They missed out on the 3 points there that they could have had in the bag. And they're going to have a tough game here against Bosnia, who were good against Canada for large parts. I know Canada overall, probably the slightly more dominant side. Bosnia certainly had their moments, particularly in that first half, probably the better side in that, taking the lead. And they had even when Canada really started to get on top in that towards the end, once they got the equaliser. In the second half, they really started. They had their counter attacks as well, and they defended well. And I thought they could have nicked it as well. There was moments where they could have nicked it. And they've already proven they could perform well against big European sides, Bosnia, through the qualifying, through the playoffs. And I think they're on a good run at the moment. I'm really, really impressed with them. And I think this could be a very, very close game. And I was a bit split with the prediction for this one. I couldn't really wrap my mind up here either, because it's quite hard to predict based on the really tight games we've seen some of the really tight games we've seen in the opening games. But I do think it's either going to be a narrow Switzerland win or a draw. And I do think I'm going to settle for a draw here. I'm going to go for 1-1 there. I think Bosnia might find a way to get something out of this one as well. And the last game we're going to do for today is I'm going to do obviously Canada again hosting their game in Vancouver. They're playing Qatar. Now Canada's still searching for that first World Cup win, but they got the first point in the World Cup last time out against Bosnia. Obviously they had to come from behind. First half didn't start how they would have wanted it to, but they grow into it. In the second half they really start to grow into it more. Bosnia's having some good moments, but Canada definitely getting themselves on top in that second half. And once they got that equaliser, they looked the more likely to win it. And I think they'll take that momentum into this game. I think they'll give them a lot of confidence the way they finished that game. And Switzerland have been more clinical. They could have killed Qatar off. I was really impressed with Qatar. I thought they were resilient defensively, and I think everyone did the job really, really well. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to do it again. I think it could be a similar type of game, and I would think Canada might be able to kill this one off. I think just feels like this is a real opportunity to get their first World Cup win. I think don't get me wrong. I think they'll have to break Qatar down. I think it will be tough. I think they'll have to really work for it. But I do expect a strong performance here from Canada, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 Canada win, and I think they get their first World Cup win here. So that's what I'm going to go for in the second games of Group A and B. With a longer prediction video coming up tomorrow. I'm going to do some other the groups that are coming up. But as for the games that are kicking off today, that's my predictions for those four.